What's happening, y'all? Dean Thomas here. This is Fight Court. I got my man Ryan Quinn in effect. UFC Fight Night went down last night in Houston. I was in attendance. We got a lot to discuss on that card. Let's get right into it. Sean Strickland knocks out Fluffy Hernandez in the third round. TKO'd him in the third round. I don't want to say knockout because that implies something different, but TKO'd him in the third round. Ryan, initial thoughts on that?
Initial thoughts. Sean Strickland threw the amount of right hands that I wanted Fluffy to throw. That's what I was like. So, like, you know how we said, well, you said before that Sean was either going to show up or he was going to tank. First of all, I saw Eric Nixick was in his corner again. I thought that was cool. I wasn't expecting to see that. I thought that they parted ways, but that was great. I felt that, Sean before, jab, teep kick, teep kick, he would even do that when people were coming in after the jab or whatever. Now he's throwing right hands, and that added a whole new wrinkle to it and really kept Fluffy away. I think Fluffy was trying to cover up, throw jabs, and try to maybe slip around the jab. I thought he relied a little too much length on it. He had a little too much confidence in trying to jab with Sean, and I thought that he should have thrown some right hands over that jab. But whatever, I'm still playing Monday morning quarterback, I guess. I think Sean, he looked like he improved a little bit, but just enough. He knocked out Anthony Hernandez, and yeah, I thought it was a great performance. I didn't think that Anthony looked bad by any stretch. Maybe he could have did this. He zigged when he should have zagged. I just thought that they just had a better preparation over there with Nixick.
It's interesting do we on Sunday say things like that. Oh, he improved, he got better. And sometimes I don't necessarily think that's ever the case. Okay. Sometimes it might be the case. But when you're dealing with a guy like Sean Strickland, who's been around for so long, who had such a reputation of always being really good, just not ever really being able to show it, I think this is a situation where it wasn't that he improved. He finally was able to show us how good he was.
Mm. Yeah.
Like I think he's always been this good. He's just never fought this way. And I think for whatever reason, he's matured into something that allowed him to fight this way. Now, obviously, fight week, he didn't show that maturity during fight week with all the trash talk and the nonsense he was spewing. But last night, just watching him walk out, his demeanor, I'm cage side, so I'm right up on him. In his demeanor, he looked calm. He looked cool, and he looked like a consummate professional. Like, watching his demeanor, he looked like a professional, something that I would tell young fighters to study. Like, look at his posture, look at his demeanor, no emotion, just knew that he had a job to do. And that's how he looked against Fluffy. And not that Fluffy looked any different, but just Sean went out there and just executed.
Bingo. Yeah.
Like, he knew what the assignment was. He didn't let anything get in the way of it, and he executed. He didn't let any of the stuff that he was spewing all week. He didn't let the boos or whatever the fan reaction was. He didn't let anything get in the way from his execution, and he went out there and he fought beautifully. It might have been the best I've ever seen him look.
I think it was the best I've seen him look.
And I've seen him fight live quite a few times, but last night he was on point. And one thing that I think is underrated about Sean, like we talk about the jab and the teeps, but his jab was heavy.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just a jab. It was heavy. And I don't think that, because I never really thought of his jab.
Do you mean it's always heavy, or last night it was heavy?
Last night it was heavy.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about like the idea of him throwing a jab was heavy. I'm talking about the literal jab itself. The thump that it was making on the gloves of Anthony Hernandez was thumping. It was because sometimes we just be popping it, you know what I'm saying? Just popping it. And then we throw it sometimes and it's kind of a stick. But his jab was heavy. And it was the reason why I was like, this is why Fluffy can't get close to him. Because that jab is heavy. It was thumping him. And I never really thought that Sean had a jab like that.
So you said it was hitting the gloves. I like that you said that. Not necessarily hitting his, not, well, obviously he connected a few times, but hitting the gloves. So do you think that was part of the plan, was to stop Fluffy in his tracks by hitting that heavy jab just to get him to cover up and kind of cement his heels to the ground?
I'm sure of it. I'm
Yeah.
sure of it because the jab was real effective all night. Like between Sergey Spivak
Yeah.
and Sean Strickland, both of them extreme couture guys. Um, but it worked for Sean like really strong last night. I mean, it was just boom, 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 and then right hand, boom, 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 right hand, occasional kick, but he looked good, man. I had to holler at Nick Sick about that and be like, yo, man, I have a love-hate relationship with Sean. You know, sometimes every once in a while he'll actually say something that I'll be like, "Ah, that's okay, Sean. I get it." And then most of the time I'm like, yo, shut this guy up. But his performance last night, and this is a bad thing, man. It's like because of that performance last night, it gives him it for many people, it legitimizes his point of view of the world because he can fight. I'm like, why do we do that?
Uh, well, I don't, I don't agree with a lot of things he says, but I guess I see what you're saying. Like,
But
oh, the
you see
way
what
this
I'm
guy,
saying? But like,
yeah,
like all week, he's saying stuff, and everybody's like, I hope he gets his ass kicked. I hope he gets beat
yeah.
up. Da, 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 da. Then he goes out there and he puts a performance on like that, and it just kind of goes. And now people are just kind of like, oh,
Well. I did like what he said after the fight.
yeah,
Yeah.
impressed.
And like, as we talked before, like after the fight, the endorphins are flowing. Sometimes now, maybe this counteracts it, but I feel like that's when like the realness comes out. And I love, Anthony Hernandez. He's a badass. He's a great fighter. He's a great fighter. He's a great father. He's a man that I want to be like. I felt that was very respectful that he said that. Um, I think that, I think that fighting maturity and emotional people maturity, two different things. That's what I think. But you know what? I've seen that. I've seen a lot of fighters as you have. So I've seen people be mature in one area, not in another, a lot. So
But that's life for
yeah,
sure. But I just wish for a guy like Sean, who's incredibly intelligent, despite him saying wildly irresponsible things.
yeah,
He's intelligent because a sign of intelligence for me with him is that he knows how to push those buttons right up until it's too offensive where he can't recover.
yeah.
Stop.
Hmm.
And then he'll pick something else, push it right to the limit, and stop. That's a sign of intelligence. He knows exactly where to stop
Yeah.
before it gets just too out of hand, even for himself. So he's an intelligent guy. I wish he would use his platform for good.
I seem like, I feel like there's like some frustration there with him. I feel like he wants to, but he just gets caught up in it. I mean, yeah. I mean, okay, we're if there's 10 steps, we're saying he knows how to stop at 8, but we really want him to learn to stop at 4. Like, I think that's the best way to put it. Like, he just keeps rolling and it's like, okay, okay, okay. Like, you know.
Well, if not that, man, but every once in a while, like he did last night. Even if you don't even listen, I don't want to control him, but
Yeah.
like last night, what he did was positive and was good. Like if every once in a while he sprinkled in something positive,
Hmm.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be like, all right, like, and it would actually to me legitimize, his personality a little more. But it's just like if he's always spewing vitriol, it's hard to listen to him.
I
And
didn't
it's
hear
hard
everything
for
he
me to
said. I
give
just
up
knew it
a
was
certain
crazy.
thing. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear everything he said. People were sending me clips throughout the week, but I was working. I didn't see none of it. So, but I I I I got the gist. It was very Sean Strickland-esque. So I'm sure he said something crazy, political or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Bad Bunny, NFL, women's MMA, this, that, and the
Oh
third.
God.
I mean, it was again right up to the line, right
Yeah.
up to the line. And an MMA line is longer than
Yeah. Much longer leash.
regular civilian. Like
Yeah.
it's an NFL line. Like he could never say these things like in another sport. And that's what a lot of other athletes and other analysts from other sports were pissed off about was that Sean Strickland's allowed to say these things with no repercussions from the company. Like you couldn't
Hmm.
be in the NFL. Jalen Hurts couldn't come out and say the things that Sean
Yeah.
Strickland said. But that's just our sport, man. Like no one expects us to be anything other than what we are, and that's these Neanderthal warriors. No one expects anything else. So when we say stuff, we have a little bit longer of a leash. But with that being said, I just wish that Sean would use that platform every once in a while and say something decent.
I'm with you. I'm with you because he does have a big spotlight and he carries a big stick verbally, and so I'm with you on that.
So how about Fluffy? What do you think he does next?
Like I said, I just think that he was a step behind in the game plan. I mean, the way the middleweight division is, he could win two in a row and still fight for the belt. If he has two good wins, the way it is, he's going to be matched up again probably in a top six opponent. I don't think he takes that far of a step back. He's not in title contention. Like would pretty. I bet if he won this fight, he would have been in title contention. But he's not right now. Like I said, he could win two in a row. Uh, just watch the tape and see where he could have just made the slightest adjustments. Plus, it wasn't like he was out of the fight totally. In the beginning of the second round. Well, it was a knee, right? That started the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I just think that just how does he color outside the lines with what his game plan is? Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He's still doing a lot of right things. So keep doing that, but just see how you can add to within that. Like I said, I felt that he should have thrown more Lee right hands or more off center right hands. I thought it would have set up a lot more, including wrestling. I thought that it would have set up a lot because as soon as he's throwing that right hand, he's either connecting or he's getting Sean to cover up like this, and the legs are open. He's got strong wrestling. Um, yeah, I just think go back with his coaches, make those adjustments, and just see what's next. He kind of, it's very rare that in MMA that you could lose and move laterally, but this is probably the closest thing to that. Is that fight last night? He didn't get outright beat. Maybe it helped him that he got knocked out and not outright beat by unanimous decision. But I don't think he takes that much of a step back. Just learn where he could have made those quick adjustments and move forward.
Um, yeah, I think in terms of his skill set and what he did last night, I think that was a condition of almost underestimating Sean a bit.
Yeah.
You know, um, and I don't mean that in a negative way because at some level, when you're as a coach, when you're training your fighters to fight somebody, you almost kind of have to underestimate the opponent in a way,
Yeah.
for sure. Because so when you think you go, all right, Sean's got a really good jab, so they bring in guys to jab, and he's defending this jab against probably everybody in the gym.
It's not a Sean Strickland jab at the
It's
end of the
not Sean
day.
Strickland's jab. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that's what I mean by underestimating them a little bit, and that happens all the time, and that's a real major reason why a lot of fighters lose is because the same thing with Dricus du Plessis when he fought Hamza. It's like he probably defended a lot of wrestling, defended the first shot, but then when he got in there with Hamza, he was like, "Yo, this is not what I was expecting," and that's tricky to do. It's a tricky it's a tricky thing to navigate around as a coach and as a fighter because you want to feel like you're prepared. You don't want to go in and be like, I don't know. Like you can't go in like that. But at the same time, you also have to have the realization that Sean's jab might be a little different than everybody else's. So I have to be prepared for that. And I think that's what happened last night is that Fluffy was prepared. They knew that the jab was coming. Sean didn't do anything different. It's just he's different.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have and you can't prepare for Sean unless you bring Sean in.
I the first thing I think of when you say that is, I was Habib for Dustin and Tebow, and I'm just not Khabib. I'm not,
Right. That's my point, right? Like it's just you're not that guy.
yeah.
And your transitions aren't what he does. Your pressure's not going to be what his is. His is going to be whether it's worse or better. It's just going to be a little different. And I think when Sean came out there, it was just a little different than what they anticipated. And they thought that they thought that they were prepared and it just wasn't. And you have to learn the hard way. Like situations like that, you do have to learn the hard way because I would probably prefer that than for Fluffy to come in nervous
Yep.
and not fight hard because he was like not confident in his training and was like, you know what, we had guys, man, but they all sucked. But I'm gonna try it anyway. I would prefer a fighter to fight as confidently as Fluffy did and just come up short and be like, yo, next time we just got to prepare a little bit more and just recognize that it might be, but it is a tricky thing to navigate through because, especially as a coach, like you don't want to tell your fighter, hey, listen, you're not going to be ready for this because we didn't have the exact opponent here. But the opponents are always a little different.
So um, knowing that as a coach, how do you prepare for that? I know how I would prepare for that as a training partner and how I would try to implement it as a coach, but I want to hear what you would do first.
Well, one thing that I always do with um with fighters is I ask them, and I got this from a book that I read. Is I asked them before we even start camp. I go, all right, it's Sunday morning. You just lost a fight. How did you lose? And they have to have a realization with themselves as to why they might have lost a fight. And then I go, well, let's start there. Let's make sure that doesn't happen. Right. So if you look at Sean's history, and if I was coaching Fluffy, I go, well, how do we lose this fight? I go, okay, you can't get past the jab, you can't take him down. All right, we gotta find a way to get past the jab.
Hmm.
We just have to have we have to have 10 different ways of dealing with the jab and getting past it. And that's how you have to approach it. You just have to have more ways of doing what you might assume to be the biggest risk of you losing.
I would cheat. I would be the training partner, like because I would watch a lot of Habib and I would see and I would just cheat. I would like, especially when we were doing like interval training, and then I would go in like against Dustin. I would just come up from behind him and or especially if we were in like awkward situations, and I would just shove him against the fence. So I would go in like literally and then going on his legs and stuff like that. Or I would have the fighter working on a jab. I would have them start in that telephone booth range, and I would have the fighter working to defend the jab. I would have him on both his heels because I want him to, kind of move with his foot balance or her foot balance one way or the other. Just little things on how to cheat the fighter a little bit in training, just so they could have that reaction time a little bit quicker. That's just one thing I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that's good. Like, you handicap them a little bit, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, handicap them a little bit so that they don't get a fresh look on things.
Yeah.
But it's so tough, man, and it's just there's no real one answer to it because
No.
it's all different, and sometimes it works and sometimes it does. It's really a numbers game. Sometimes it'll work and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it's I wish it was so black and white and concrete that we could just like this is what it is, this is what it is. But there's just too many variables, too many situations, and then the ability to in the fight, you could be 100% prepared in the fight, take a shot like Geoff Neal did against Uros Medic.
Oh, Geoff Neal looked physically good in that. We'll get
Yeah.
into, we'll get into that after. We'll get into that after.
All right. So what? Well, let's go. What was the co-main event? Was that? Um,
What was that? Geoff Neal? No, was that Geoff Neal's fight with
that was Geoff Neal. Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
get into it. Right now. That was Geoff Neal.
I thought, and I looked for this too because he cleaned up his act. He looked physically like he wasn't carrying any extra weight on like those saddles on his back or his belly. Like he
Mhm.
looked physically fit. And then man, he got starched. It was just, but it doesn't dismiss anything, and I hope he doesn't lose confidence in the way he's going with things. Because I felt like like all they showed all the tweets they showed before and threads and stuff. Oh, somebody's going to sleep. Somebody's going to sleep. It was that kind of fight where somebody was going to go to sleep, and unfortunately, it was him. Um, I think that was just that kind of fight. It's tough that it was going to be that kind of fight, given this part of his journey in life. Hopefully, he just takes it as another stepping stone, a roadblock, because I saw the physical fitness and the work that he was putting in on the outside part. I don't know. What did you think?
I felt so bad because to me it felt like a career ender. You know me, I'm in this game. Two things I love about MMA. One is the art of it,
Yes.
and that is the art. Whether people are watching or not, the fight is the fight, the art of the fight. And then what I love about this game are how fighters can capitalize off of this game that we play into a career. And but last night looked like it was the end of his career.
Man, I hope not. I hope that he gets one more just to, but last night did look bad.
And it wasn't to me. It's not. It wasn't a thing of them giving him another opportunity because I do believe they'll give him another opportunity. It just to me it looked like him even when they're raising Uros' hand, he's kind of looking around like, yo, where's the door?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, just get me out of here. Like, I do
Hmm.
not want to be in here anymore. And here's it's just because Geoff Neal is one of them guys who's been hovering around top 15, top 10 for years. He's been in there with the best of them. He gave Shavkat all he could handle. I thought he beat Ian Gary. He's got wins over Luque, but I mean, his guy has been hovering in that good range for a long time, but never could really turn the corner. And then when you find out this guy's had substance abuse issues during that whole time, which then you would almost assume that you would attribute his lack of consistency for the substance abuse. So
Yeah.
now he comes out and he's like, yo, I'm ready to go. I'm in shape. I'm sober, this, that, and the third. He's a little
Hmm.
older now. You think, all right, um, time to do your thing. Then he fights somebody who's out of the top 15, really dangerous. And you think that maybe this is his comeback to show the world what he is. He gets knocked out in a round, 3 minutes. It's just such a disheartening stab in the back from the game to a fighter.
Yeah. I remember when I went to Russia, I felt that I was the most prepared I'd ever been for a fight, and I got knocked out in 12 seconds, and it was rough. It was
It's just
You're so angry. Like I've never been so angry in my life going into that locker room. It was like, uh, yeah, it's. I mean, I hope that he takes the time to digest and accept what happened, and just where do we move forward from here. Um, the good news is with such a small window of something like that. I mean, I had 12 seconds, he had 3 minutes, but it really doesn't show the whole development. He didn't get a chance to see his whole development, so maybe he could look at it like that. Plus, Euros is on his way up. Like that dude is fucking good. Like,
yeah, there's no doubt about that.
yeah,
Like, there's no doubt of that Euros is good. I mean, he could knock people out, like he said
yeah,
it, and he's going to
mhm,
make a lot of interesting and fun fights in that division. But just for Geoff Neal, a guy who we thought had the potential to be champ, like he was right there with the best of them at any
mhm.
given day, and now something like this happens when he's trying to make his comeback. Like this, like the amount of mental fortitude that it takes to bounce back from a knockout loss like this after you're trying to come back after being through so much of what he's been through. It's hard, man. It's hard to have that mental fortitude. And I hope he's got good people around him. And I hope if he wants it, he's going to have good people around him. But just the idea of even wanting it, it can be a struggle. Like sometimes you're just like, yo, I'm done with this.
Yeah, yeah. It's really rough, man. This game is a fickle bitch. There's no other way to put it. Yeah, my heart was broken for him when I saw it. It was, yeah. I don't know. I really just hope, like you said, I hope he's got good people around him telling him the right thing, and I hope he just handles it well. That's the best I could say.
Well, I mean, it's also sucks too because, like, I mean, I'm telling you, like, it's so heartbreaking. It is a
Mm.
heartbreaking story when you think about it. Like, he's had like that and health issues and all this stuff. Comes back, gets knocked out, and wakes up to Uros Medic on the mic. Like, first, I want to thank God for not being able to knock people out. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Actually,
that's what you wake up to.
all night I kind of like I felt bad for all the guys that got finished, and I'm seeing all the guys celebrating. All the celebrations were a bit much last night, I felt.
Yeah, it was rough, man. It was rough to watch. And I saw Euros in the back after the fights was over. He's back there with Benil Dariush, and I
Hmm.
congratulated him. But even more importantly, man, this I thought his mic skills were really strong last night though, and really good for him and his career, and and for Paramount. To have him on the mic just like, yo, I'm knocking everybody out. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I thought it was really strong, and the fact that he can do it, I thought that it was really strong. So, I'm happy for him, and I can't wait to see how his career pans out.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
It's gonna
So
be
a
fun
lot
to
of a
watch.
lot of good fun fights for him coming up. But how about your boy Melquizael Costa?
Man, he looked good, man. That was the way he set that up was damn. What did you think about the stoppage? Do you think that they should have let it run, or did you? That was
No,
interesting.
one thing I don't agree with, and I have to always check myself on this, is people go,
Mhm.
"Man, there were 5 seconds left. Let them let like you can die in that." You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, yeah,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what 5 seconds is? Is about the amount of time that Jacobe Smith hit Josiah Harrell afterwards, right? Less than 5 seconds. But we're mad at him for taking them extra shots,
Hmm.
right? So 5 seconds is different when you look at it in a different way. So to me, if the ref stops it, the round is 5 minutes, not 4 minutes and 55 seconds.
Bingo.
The round is 5 minutes. If the ref with 1 second left sees that the man can't continue, you stop the fight. So I thought this if the ref stopped it, I'm gonna agree with the ref here.
I'm gonna give the ref his due on this one because that 5 seconds is a lot, like you said. People don't. I mean, yeah, he was covered, but he dropped pretty hard, and who knows, like how like. I'm gonna go with the ref on this one. I mean, it sucks for Ige, but he got dropped pretty hard. Who knows what the next round would have been like? He clearly got rocked. Clearly got a concussion right there. What's his overall health going to do going into that round, taking more punishment? I'm going to go with the ref on this one. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Costa looked good, man. I love everything he's doing, and the dude's a stud. For him to be able to
Yeah,
just, and he was winning the round too. Like the way he was just able to control the striking against Dan Ige was very impressive. Like just set that up, money. So the sky's the limit.
yeah, man. And to reiterate, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but to reiterate, I don't like when people go, "Oh man, it was 5 seconds left. The ref should let him go." Man, it's not the ref's job to keep an eye on the clock like that. It's his
Yeah,
job to make sure the guy's safe because like you can get people really hurt thinking, "Oh, there's 10 seconds left. I should just let it go." Because like imagine it. What if it was an arm bar? Would you let it go with 10 seconds left if his arm was about to break? No,
no,
like it's when the ref deems that the fight should be stopped, you're supposed to stop it. I don't care how much time is left. But Melchizel, man, like his kicks, they were heavy too. That was
yeah,
enough. Like I think Dan Ige felt a couple of them kicks and it shook him a bit. I
which
don't
is
think,
saying a lot.
yeah, which is saying a lot. I don't think he was necessarily expecting this kid to kick so hard because I think a couple of them kicks, like even though he blocked them a little bit, they were still heavy. And I think Dan was like, "Uh-oh." And after that first exchange, he looked a little lost, like he didn't want to be there anymore. He was so hesitant, and I was like,
Yeah, he looked like he slowed down a little bit towards as the round was going on. I agree with
"Yeah,
you on that. I was like, wow, he's like Costa's winning this fight. Melquizael Costa has showed up. Like Dan Ige is one of the toughest fighters on the roster, and for him to be set like that, yeah, we're seeing some stars come out after last night between him,
hey."
Uros. This is why
And
these fight nights are good. This is why people
and
need to chill.
he had a great call out.
Oh, I didn't hear the call out. I didn't have who did he call out?
Diego Lopez.
Oh, yeah, that is a great call
Diego
out.
Lopez was there, and he
Yeah.
called him out.
Oh,
He said you from this part of Brazil. I'm from this part of Brazil. Let's see who's from the best part of Brazil. He called out Diego Lopez, man, and Diego Lopez was like, I don't care, man. Like I don't know what Costa's ranked right now, but hey, listen, let's make
I'm
that happen.
I'm down for that fight. I'm down
I'm
for that
down for
fight.
that.
Man.
Costa's a savage, man. So yeah, he spinning back kick Danny Ige right in the jaw. Ouch.
Yeah.
Um, anything? Oh, anything? Well, let's see
Well,
anything from you.
talk about that. Well, there's one fight you know I want to talk about, but like the fight you just mentioned with was it Jacoby Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was with actually I did hear the announcers on that one. I was with the announcers. I felt the ref he stepped in too late, and then he tried to re like redeem himself by physically throwing Smith off. But I think that if the fight's not going, first off, that was a funky position to have a knockout in. So
It
like
is. It's not a common position to have a knockout in.
yeah, so to both to both defend the ref and the fighter that did the knockout, they're probably not used to knocking somebody out there or seeing a knockout there like that. So I could see how 3, 4 seconds to figure something out happened. Because if I'm in side control and I see strikes are landing, I'm gonna keep going to like I think that I'm connecting. I'm not knocking him out, but I'm scoring. That's what I'm thinking. So I think that that needs to be said there. That yeah, the ref was a little late, but it was a very weird. Plus, it was after the roll. It was very weird position. What did you think?
No, you're right about that. It's not a common position. It's not a position that you're looking for a knockout in.
Hmm.
Um, he was late for sure. Jacobe Smith landed a couple shots afterwards. I'm actually not upset with him for that
Hmm.
because, and a lot of people watching on the outside are, but they don't know what it's like.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They don't know what it's like when you're in there. And then you're just like, sometimes you don't have that restraint. Like, and especially when you're a young fighter. Like
Yeah.
Jacoby Smith is a young fighter. He's 11-0, and he's probably, and within that 11-0, he's fought probably nobody really good, and so he doesn't have a lot of like experience in these situations. So was he wrong? Yes, but I understand it because he's such a young, inexperienced fighter that got caught up in the moment of knocking a guy out, which is what he intended, he set out to do going into fights. It's what we want to do. And now we're like demonizing them for doing that, right? So, yes, it was wrong what he did, but at the same time, I understand it as a young fighter that he didn't have the restraint to hold back in that position.
Yeah. There was too many variables to really villainize somebody there. Like
Yeah,
the position, the referee not being aware of the position. It was just it happened. It sucks. The kid stood up. It's let's move on. That's how I feel about it.
yeah,
But he looked good though.
yeah.
He looked
He's a physical specimen,
yeah.
but he's young. He's young still. You could
Mhm.
tell. So he's young and he's got a really good, strong A game. When he moves up and fights some really talented guys, we'll see what his ceiling is. It's hard to tell now, but when you're that offensively powerful,
Mhm.
you're going to look great in this stage. You're going to look like a world beater in this stage. But then when you move up to fight guys that they can defend your stuff, your A game, then we see what you're really made of. So he's got a little ways to go, I think. But I do think that he's got a lot of potential. He seems to be doing the right things in training, so he's got the potential. I watched him work out a little bit. He looks solid on the pads, but again, that's pads. But we'll see how he looks. Once he starts to get into a real fight and getting hit a little bit.
Now that I'm thinking of it, it kind of reminded me of that position, that knockout, and it reminded me of when Brock Lesnar was in half guard or side control, and he would just like drop those lunch boxes on people, pop, 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 even to the point to a fault where he got carried away and got knee barred by Frank Mir. Because especially coming from that wrestling background and younger, plus like yeah, Brock Lesnar was UFC champion, but he had what 8 fights total, and uh, that experience is just not there with what you're doing in that position. So he'll learn the positioning, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, Ramai's came out on the short end against Soriano, which was a great fight. It really was. It was a good fight. I felt like there was one exchange that lost in the fight with like the last 2 minutes. It was back and forth, but after that exchange, I was like, yeah. But it was a good fight. He was beat up. He broke his shin or something like that. I did message him on Instagram. He's in good spirits though. I was talking with him a little bit. He's a good dude. But either way, both those guys, another two that are. I think that was a huge win for Soriano, and Ramais. He's gonna be around. I know the UFC's behind him.
Yeah, I messaged him as well. He just I think he made a couple of bad decisions in the fight, like first, second round, which cost him some energy,
Yeah.
exhausting him a little bit.
Mhm.
Like I think he spent a little bit too much time in like holding positions that cost him a little bit too much energy. So that by that
Right.
time he was in the third round, I think he was just kind of spent
Yeah.
and he couldn't make good decisions and he didn't have the energy to fight out of bad spots. So and Soriano took over for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and those bet like that's those positions against an inexperienced fighter but a very experienced wrestler, like that's it's gonna go in their favor. Like
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen there. Um, but other than that, I finally caught UFC BJJ. I watched it. Well, I watched the co-main event, the main event this morning. I like
Oh
what I
yeah.
saw. Yeah. I love the activity these bottom fighters have now. Just they're just quick down there. I was never flexible, but I love how they're just shifting from feet on the hips, going to armbar, and just not giving anybody on top stuff to work with. It's tough. Of course, Mikey Musumeci eventually got the ankle lock, but um, or the straight toe hold. But yeah, I just love what they're doing. Ronaldo Jr., I'm gonna watch a lot more of him because that's very similar to how I fight, or I grapple anyway. But no, I thought it was a lot of fun. And one thing I didn't realize, the last thing they unless did they change the ring structure where they have the where it's like there's the ring and then it's like elevated like right on the outside where they sit on in between the rounds. Has it always been like
Um,
that?
no, it's a bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's elevated. Yeah, for sure. Where they can
It's
sit on the
always been
outside.
like that. Okay, I didn't know it was always like that.
Well, no,
Okay.
it wasn't always like that. Just for
Mhm.
UFC BJJ, like
Yeah.
prior to that, it was Fight Pass Invitational. It was just a
Right,
regular
right.
match, so that they built the bowl to keep the action going.
Yeah, but I like it. Of course, me, I'm like seeing how I can get in there, and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't really done anything. So, but but no, I love what they're doing with that, and they do need more of it than just like you said, one Thursday every 3 months. But I love what's
Yeah,
going on with it.
yeah. Ronaldo Jr. looked tough, didn't he, man? Like his passing pressure just
Yeah,
he's
those
all
hips
over.
just like
Yeah,
he was so good. Like, because this is what I like to do, like heavy pressure up top. Then when things get crazy, drop those hips, and then just boom, just set up shop, wear on that opponent. Yeah, I loved what
yeah.
I love what I saw.
Yeah. So talk about awkward, right? So Phill Rowe, who fought Saturday last night, is
Mhm.
a good friend of mine. I've known him since he was an amateur.
Mhm.
Watched his entire career, um, and he lost last night. And I've worked with him. He lost last night, and I'm sitting on the plane, flying back to Orlando, and I see him get on the plane, and he walks up. He's looking for a seat, and I'm sitting in the exit row on the aisle. He walks up, and He's sitting in the window seat of the same row, and it's just me and him, nobody in between. Conveniently, no one went in between. But it was like such an awkward conversation, man, to have to spend, you know, 2 hours with your friend that you haven't really talked to all that much. Then I worked with him before, and every so often he'd be like, "Yo, man, come to Orlando, help me out." And he just lost his last fight on a contract, and it's just like, no, man. I mean,
Uh,
just such an awkward feeling. Like you want to be as optimistic as you possibly can and be as hopeful as you possibly can to a guy, but under them circumstances, like man, it's really hard to find the silver lining in his situation right now. He lost a fight to a contender series guy, last fight of his contract, and you're just like, damn, bro.
yeah.
I'm praying for you.
Hmm.
I'm praying for you.
Were you able to lift him up a little bit or was it just,
Yeah, I mean, we talked and we talked and he's very aware of his situation and his position, so he's
hmm.
not unaware and thinking, "Oh, I can't. Yeah, I gotta call Hunter tomorrow and get a new deal." He was not like that, but I had to be honest with him. I'm always going to be honest with a guy. I'm like, man, it's a brutal game, and when your time is up, your time is up because they got to make room for the next guy.
Yeah.
There was one point where you needed to get in, so they had to get rid of somebody else.
Hmm.
So it's just the way it is. They it's a revolving door. They get rid of guys that no longer can produce, and got to bring in somebody else with the potential to produce. So
It's tough,
and
man.
the fighters take it personally. They think, oh man, they don't like me, or it's not that, man. It's that he's been in a while, and I'm not saying he's getting cut or anything. I'm just saying that he's been in a while, and he hasn't really had the performance that I think he's capable of. I think he's really good. Like in the room, he's really like skilled. He just hasn't done it, man.
It's rough. Now, of course, there's other places to go. I'm sure he'll be looked at elsewhere, but we know the UFC is wherever it wants to be.
Hmm.
That's probably the toughest thing, if I could ever say to fighters, is, and it's like, and I'm sure everyone's heard this, like there is opportunity elsewhere in the world, not just MMA in the world. What you have a lot
Yeah,
to
yeah,
give.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and whenever I have this conversation, usually the first thing I say is, listen, I didn't want to hear what I'm about to say to you either when I was in your shoes. But I think that you have so much to offer that you just need to be reminded of what's in front of you and the high ceiling that somebody like yourself has. And he has that, like he's gonna be he still has he can still make some money in fighting somewhere else. Maybe it's gonna be the UFC again. Maybe it will be the UFC again later. Maybe not. PFL probably look at him, Risen. Like there's places to go. Maybe he's gonna be a great coach, whatever. But either way, there's still life to be lived. And just again, like we said about Geoff Neal, find that acceptance and just see where else, what else is next. That's like what we could do. Just have a good day today. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I always tell people this too, Ryan, is that like when you're a good person and you bring good energy, people want you around. So e- even if you're not in, even if you're not fighting in the UFC, you'll find a place because people gonna want you around. Like you
Yeah.
said, even if it's not in MMA, like you'll find a good place to be. Like you might get a job doing something, something fun that people just want you around for. So,
And
and
that
he's got a
UFC
place
on the
to
resume. He's got the UFC
be.
on his resume. Like
Yeah,
that's serious. Like
yeah, for sure.
man, I just like look at me. Like I had a little bit of a run in Bellator and I thought that I ended up doing well in coaching and I just got published last year with Florida State University. It's like, and now I get to do this podcast and we get to meet great people and network
Yeah,
elsewhere. Like,
you'll find a place. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? You'll be okay. You're not gonna. It's not gonna be that bad. You'll be okay. It may not be what you wanted in the UFC. But if you had a couple years in the UFC, they gave you the chance to make it. And that's all you can ask for is the opportunity and a chance. And eventually, and it doesn't last forever, regardless. So
Yeah.
if it's not now, it's going to be in a year, if not a year, 2 years. It's going to happen
Hmm.
eventually. So just make sure you don't burn too many bridges along the way, and make sure you
Yeah.
got good people skills because eventually you're going to need them somewhere else.
I feel like fighting teaches you good people. The career of fighting will teach you people skills. It will teach you how to network. And on top of it, fighting teaches you so many skills. Like I just think like I had to sell tickets, so I got sales experience. I got marketing experience. Like just that's yeah, you realize that after the fact when
That's
you're
hilarious.
yeah, you got marketing experience from fucking sponsorships, you got contract negotiation experience. You really learn a lot of shit in this, media.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. I didn't even realize it that way. Because like I always be thinking too, like, yo, what am I gonna do if this don't work out for me? I mean, I got a lot of experience doing things. Like I don't have a formal education like that.
Hmm.
But I got a lot of experience, man. Put me in somewhere, I'll figure it out.
I helped a lot of my, well, not a lot. I helped a few of my former fighters with their resumes, but they were looking for jobs after. And yeah, I put the fighting on my resume. Like, all right, great. Now, that's awesome that you fought for 3 amateur titles, but what you got to do there is I was the number one, I was the top ticket seller for the promotion in Florida. Like, just things like that, because that's what these people outside of fighting want to see. Like, they think that's great that you're tough and everything, but show that you could produce elsewhere. Like that,
Yeah.
and you can, and you can. Like that's what my advice always was.
Sales.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Anything else, man?
No, man. Actually, I didn't even look. Is there a fight next week? I didn't even look. You can
Yeah,
keep your shirt
Mexico
on.
City. Brandon Moreno and
Yes.
Lonnie Kavanaugh.
Yes. Yeah. I haven't looked into those fights yet, but
Yeah.
Happy Brandon Moreno's back at it.
Tough fight against Lonnie Kavanaugh. Lonnie's really good. He got knocked out by Charles Johnson last time, but Charles is a wild card. He'll knock anybody out on any given day. But this will be an interesting fight. Like this is a do or die fight for Brandon Moreno. If he doesn't win this one, he could put a nail in the coffin to any aspirations that he may have had to becoming a champion again.
Yeah.
If he can get past this one, it doesn't necessarily mean he's still going to be a champion anyway, but he has to get past this one. But then this also can elevate Lonnie Kavanaugh, who I think is very good. He trains with Brad Pickett and those guys. I remember them talking to me about him and just saying, yo, this guy's the future. Had a setback against Charles Johnson, but again, and that happens. Let's see what he can do down in Mexico City.
Awesome.
Well, folks, if you enjoyed the show, please tell your friends, hit like, share, and subscribe. And on that note, this court is adjourned.